my name's Ellie. I sing and play guitar in the band called Alice. And I'm here today at Dockville Festival to talk about my favourite, or one of my favourite albums, because I don't have favourites or anything, but I have chosen today Absolution by Muse. This came out I think 11 years ago, if I got that right. And so I remember I was just starting big school, so I was about 11 or 12, 13. That was the time period I listened to this most probably. And I think it was the first one, or one of the first few albums which I really listened to, because before that I kind of only listened to compilation CDs or things that people had shown me. I never really listened to albums as a piece of work in themselves. And I absolutely loved it, and it was always a big dream of mine to go and see them live, which I only did a long time after this came out. And I love this band. I think they're amazing. I don't listen to them so much anymore, but this album still is incredible and has such fond memories for me that I don't think I'll ever dislike it as much as I move on maybe, or move away from this type of music or this band. I'll always love them. And my favourite song from this album, I don't really have favourites, but I love Stockholm Syndrome. I think it was just the first really heavy thing I listened to, but heavy as it is, it's still just a massive pop record, which is kind of everything I like, and maybe something that inspired my music as well. You can be loud and heavy, but it can be pop and it doesn't, tangible to other people who maybe don't listen to that kind of music, rock music, or I don't know, gothy kind of stuff. And I love Stockholm Syndrome. I like how how there's just so many different parts to it, and yet it's quite simple, and which is a good thing about Muse actually, and something which is really hard to recreate. It's like really heavy guitar music, but not layered, and still of a really high quality, like a pop record. Really hi-fi quality production, but using lots of distorted guitars, which is something quite difficult to capture and recreate, which I have learned in my short time in a recording studio. But yeah, my favourite one was Stockholm Syndrome, but probably my favourite song was still Time Is Running Out, because everyone's is. And I think I always tell people this is my favourite album, just because it was the last time I remember really falling in love with an album and listening to it over and over again. I haven't been quite so obsessive over an album since, which is a bit scary. But yeah, I don't know, maybe that's just growing older or something, I'm not sure. I remember I had a friend when I started school who I used to spend all my time with, and she lived around the corner from me, and we used to both give each other's compilation CDs and albums that we really liked, and maybe it was from her, I don't know. She had an older sister who listened to lots of music, so we got lots of music from her, but maybe, I don't know. I just remember having this album and other really classic albums of that time, like the White Stripes, Elephant, The Strokes, Is This It, and none of them really match each other, but yeah, it was just those kind of, I don't know. I don't really remember, but whoever they were, thank you. I listened to the album after this, I think Black Holes and Revelations, or whatever it was called, I don't really remember, but after that I never really listened to them. Well, I've heard their singles and stuff, but they kind of changed course, but I don't mind, I think that's great. They've done so many albums, you're going to have a few which are completely different, or, to some people maybe not as good, but that doesn't make them any less fun. And also that apparently they're coming back with a lot more guitar-based album next time, so I've heard, which will be exciting. I need to catch up on them basically. I just kind of don't know, forgot. I just liked this album too much, that whenever I went to go and listen to anything else, I was like, oh no, I'll just go and listen to this one. So yeah. I saw them once, I think, at Wembley Arena in London. I think it was Wembley Arena, I always get mixed up. But I saw them there, and I saw them at 2 festivals, which I think were probably Glastonbury and Reading. And Wembley Arena was okay, but I had like seating tickets really high up, so I couldn't quite get into it as much. But they brought out a big, huge spaceship or something, and it was just every bit musified as I had hoped. But when I saw them at I think it was Glastonbury, that was amazing. I went right to the front, and I don't normally go right to the front. Well, not since I was much younger. And I think, I was just like, I'm gonna go to the front for this. And it was great. I don't regret it. It was probably one of my favourite shows I ever saw. Even though it was a festival show, which is, some people say that doesn't count, but it definitely does. So yeah.